And don't assume that. As long as you Marxists push your unconstitutional agenda on my child, she will not be returning back to Loudoun County schools.
A new chapter in the debate over critical race theory after a teacher in Rhode Island offered students extra credit to testify against a bill banning critical race theory in schools. Joining us now is President of Parents Defending Education, Nicole Neily. Nicole, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So these Rhode Island lawmakers pushed this bill to prohibit schools from teaching critical race theory. This teacher offered extra credit to those students who would testify against the legislation. You've said that that is an abuse of the dynamic, the power dynamic between a student and a teacher. Can you explain that?
Of course. I mean, students, even if they don't agree with the bills, or if they do agree with the bills, they know what their teacher wants them to say. Students are very mindful of the fact that they need letters of recommendation. They need good grades, right? GPA. They want to get into a better school. And so students are essentially being coerced into saying what the teacher needs them to say. To oppose this bill, they're being used as puppets. We didn't even know that there was extra credit involved. We were just told that students had lined up, so many students had lined up to testify in opposition to the bill that it actually forced out other national speakers that wanted to support the bill. So it was really a disgusting use of school time and authority.
You've been leading, sort of an effort to bring attention to critical race theory and how it's used in schools. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, defended studying critical race theory in the military this week. I want to play you what he said on the Hill.
I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it.
So what do you make of that? If he's defending teaching critical race theory in schools or in the military, why is it a problem to teach it in schools?
Well, it's one thing to read it. I mean, I had to read Karl Marx when I was in grad school. That doesn't mean that it's supposed to be a play-by-play how-to book. And again, I think that students are put in this position where they're not being taught to engage with the material critically. They're being told this is how the world is, period, full stop. And there's a big difference in that because our students are being told what to think, not how to think. And that's where we have a big problem.
There's been a lot of broad concern about government overreach with the Department of Education budget proposal prioritizing grants for schools that would teach the 1619 project. That drew a lot of blowback. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona said on the Hill this week that the federal government will be staying out of school curriculums. That will be left to the state and local officials. So if state and local officials are making decisions to teach this in schools, tell me why you see that as a problem if that is coming from the locality at that level.
Sure. Well, this grant program is essentially, it's bribery, right? We're trying to encourage schools to apply for this money. But wink, wink, we know exactly what your grant proposal has to say. These are grants that are supposed to be used for civics education. We actually facilitated over 11,000 comments in opposition to that rule. Yet I have no doubt that the Biden administration is going to proceed with it anyway because they know what they want to do. Yes, we certainly want states and localities to be able to set their own curriculum, but we hear from teachers and even school board members from across the country in states like California, Illinois, where they don't want to teach these things, yet they are being mandated to do so. And so it's that force, it's that coercion that is not, it's denying localities the opportunity to make those decisions for themselves and what's right for their communities.
You've also said that folks who speak out against critical race theory have been maligned. Can you explain that?
Sure. I mean, we hear from parents all the time. Probably we have a tip line. We're getting between 100 to 200 tips a week. Probably 95% of them say that they want to be anonymous because they fear repercussions, not only for them, but for their children. We're seeing people receive hate mail, being doxxed, receive violent threats. And so I think these are very, very credible fears that people have because this has become such a toxic issue. Parents know what their children are coming home and saying. They are seeing the materials that are making their children feel bad about themselves. They're seeing the privilege walks and issues like that, and they don't like it. And just to say, I don't want my child to be taught that they are oppressed or an oppressor suddenly makes you a bad person. As parents, we know better than anybody how to raise our children. The fact that schools are trying to interfere with that is an insult to us and our intelligence.
Real quick, I want to play you some sound on another but similar issue from a former Loudoun County School Board member defending new language surrounding how to refer to trans non-binary kids. Let's listen to that.
Using correct names and pronouns for transgender and non-binary kids is suicide prevention. You're going to hear a lot of voices tonight. A few are likely to be very loud. This policy hurts no one and helps some of our most at-risk kids to simply feel welcome in their schools.
We've got less than 10 seconds left. Do you agree that this doesn't hurt anyone? Can you see her point?
I can see her point, but it's also forcing a lot of people in the community to perhaps say things that goes against their personal views. That's coercive, that's compelled speech, and that's a First Amendment violation.
Thank you so much, Nicole Neily, for being with us. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.